first, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Everyone, this is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. As always, we appreciate you joining us. We are live streaming here out of the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom. And I always like to remind everybody, you can find us on YouTube at kptv.com under the Fox 12 Now tab, or on the Fox 12 Oregon app on whatever device you have or whatever platform you're watching on. We're going to be there. And you can take a look at everything that we do. And it's a wide range of topics. But today we are talking about comedy, in particular, the MonsterBox Comedy Showcase that's going to be happening on January 9th at the Alberta Street Pub. And we're joined right now by the headliner, the top bill of this comedy showcase, Jay Washington. Jay, thanks very much, for joining us. I appreciate it. And before, number one, thanks for being here. But before we even go too far, I'm looking at my monitor. Your backdrop is amazing.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. So for those, a lot of people who know me in the nerd world as well. And I do a lot of reviews and movie trailer reactions. And I've worked on a bunch of big networks like Collider Video, Nerdist, and Rockstars. So to keep up with the aesthetic, I just made a whole portion of my wall in my apartment where I keep my computer. I was like, I'm just going to have all nerd stuff behind it. I got to update some of the posters, but it's the same thing.
It's awesome. Well, I mean, and
Thank you.
Who doesn't love nerd stuff, as you mentioned?
You'd be surprised, to be quite honest. You'd be surprised. Some people are like,
really?
You still got all this nerd stuff? You grown. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm grown and still want this nerd stuff.
It's like, have you gone to a movie in the last 20 years? I mean, it's all, nerds took over. But going from that, I want to talk about you, obviously being a stand-up, but the story of not only this that you do over there, but how you got into stand-up comedy. Can you tell us how that all started?
So my journey to stand-up comedy is completely different from everybody else's because I was a professional wrestler first, and I started training and wrestling back in Chicago, where I'm from. And, doing a bunch of different matches, crazy stuff, trying to make the crowd love it, pop the crowd, as they call it. I ended up having a neck injury that I found out about. Now, it was nothing major or whatnot, It was nothing major. It was just something I could deal with physical therapy. But in that same process, Facebook had opened up to the general public, and I would just type funny statuses. And I remember I met someone from Chicago who had a production company, and they were like, yo, you kind of funny. You ever thought about getting to stand up? And I was like, no, not really. Wouldn't know how. And so, because it wasn't on my mind like that. And so then her and I had a meeting, and she was like, okay, cool. You're going to go to this one spot. You just got to write 5 minutes worth of jokes. And I was like, I can do that all easily. So I did my first 5 minutes, and I destroyed. I felt great. I was there with some Chicago legends, people who had done Def Comedy Jam, Comic View, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, oh, I'm good at this. The next week I go back, write a different 5 minutes, and I bombed so hard I was confused. I wanted to cry. I was looking around. I was like, so this just happened to me? This no one else knows what happened last week? No? Okay, cool. And from there, more opportunities started coming with stand-up. And I slowly started pulling back from wrestling. Now, when I moved out here to LA, where I am now, I was here for a couple of years and I was just doing stand-up and acting. And then one of my friends who's a wrestler, he sent me a message. He was like, yo, what's your address? And I was like, why? He was like, I want to send you something. I was like, I hope it's not child support papers. So he sent me something in a box, and in the box it was a pair of wrestling boots because I had lost mine. And I said, why would you send me this? He was like, what, are you mad? I was like, no, now I want to get back in the ring. So then I started getting back training out here in LA, and for a while I was doing both. I would do a wrestling show. I would literally do a show, have a 15-20 minute match, be done, clean myself up, and go be on stage at the Laugh Factory or go be on stage at the Improv. And everybody was like, yo, why are you so hyper right now? I was like, I just got done working. And so it wasn't maybe a year, it's been about a year since I've actually had a match. And I've got friends currently who are in the WWE, who will be out there this weekend, who are in Impact, AEW, and all that. And when I decided to get back in the ring, a lot of them would text me, and they was like, yo, what are you doing? You got out. And I said, yo, y'all are millionaires, and I am broke. Let me try to make this. So that's the story.
Man, that's crazy. Well, I mean, for the wrestling side of things, what did you prefer, the hero or the heel? The heel more.
Oh, I love being the heel. Oh, being the heel is the best part. There is nothing in my life better at a wrestling show than making a little child regret every decision he has in his 5 years. making a grown man like now, because again, when I started doing stand-up, I was doing stand-up for a while and still wrestling. And I will never forget, I did a show in Chicago, and there was a dude in the crowd. I couldn't really see him. And I remember him being like, he used my wrestling name. He was like, Trauma, go back to telling jokes. And I said, the joke is you survived the abortion. Everybody just stopped. They were like, did you just, I said, it was just off the top of the head. And I went back with the match. And so everyone's like, I don't know if we should say anything to him on a microphone. And it was just one of those things where I love being the bad guy and making it to the fullest.
Being the heel. That's it right there. Yes.
Great at heel. Great at heel.
Well, I mean, something else that you mentioned too is the acting side of things, which you've been in a bunch of stuff. I mean, American Gigolo. I mean, all these other things that you were a part of. How did you? I guess for you, like, what do you prefer more? Do you prefer acting or do you prefer stand-up?
It's a catch-22. I like acting because it gets a chance to be different people. It's kind of the similar thing with wrestling. You're being a character, right? But with stand-up, I love that I can control your emotions and make you laugh with me, and also make you forget about whatever bad day you're having or bad days you've had. I always tell people the story how I was back home in Chicago doing a show. I had an older lady walk up to me when I was at the bar just trying to catch myself after my set, told me that I was the first person that made her laugh in several months because her son had got killed. And she had not wanted to laugh and didn't want to come out. And so for me, moments like that make being a stand-up all the more beautiful and glorious.
I mean, yeah, to have that direct connection also, with the audience, whether it's, killing it or bombing, as you said. I mean, it's still a direct connection with the audience, but having something like that, emotional where you're making a difference. So for you, getting to go around to different cities also and check that out. Have you been up to Portland before? Have you performed here?
Actually, no, and this is my first, and I'm super excited to come to Portland. I've always wanted to come up to Portland. I remember when I first was starting stand-up, they had the Bridgetown Comedy Festival, and I never got a chance to do it. And so Portland had always been one of those cities on my list to do. So being up there for MonsterBox, I'm beyond excited.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's definitely a comedy town, and you're on a really good bill. I don't know if you know some of the other comedians on there, but you've got a pretty stacked bill that you're going to be on. So
I'm glad to hear that. Because I feel like this. Anytime a lot of comics don't care about the full show. They're just like, I know what I'm gonna do. But I feel like if people are paying their money, they come in to see a show, let them get everything out of it. You know what I'm saying? I want them to have a good show from top to bottom, from the host to the headliner and all that.
Yeah, your host is Adam Posse. He's one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. So you got somebody right there. But for you, for a Jay Washington show, you're coming here to Portland, first time performing here. What can people expect when they come out to see one of your shows?
People can expect a very high energy show, a very much like unexpected laughters on things. Like I'll tell you this, the crowd work element is minimal to none. I'll do minimal to none because I feel like you've come to a show to see me tell jokes. Not what you just saw on social media of a bunch of crowd work clips. That can happen if somebody says something or does something, but that's not what I'm planning on. I'm planning on telling you these crazy stories from my life, me dealing with my friends, me being a black dude talking about therapy, me dealing with my kids who get on my nerve, my 2 kids who get on my nerves, telling you all these crazy stories, my dating life, et cetera, et cetera. That's what you get out of me, and just being like, I don't believe he thinks this way because it's so out the pocket and out the box.
Well, I definitely believe the energy, you've got it here even just in this. So that makes sense. Also, however you do your nerd stuff, wrestling, acting, stand-up comedy, you would have to have a lot of energy to do all that. One quick question.
I have all of the energy in the world until I'm done for the evening, not even the day. Like I'll say I'm done like 1, 2 in the morning, and that's when the energy drops.
That's still pretty good. Okay, final question though. I didn't ask this. What was your wrestling name?
The Urban Gladiator Trauma.
Love it. Okay, Urban Gladiator Trauma. All right. Well, Jay, thank you very much. For joining us, and for people, they can pick up tickets to go see MonsterBox Comedy.
Yes.
There on Alberta Street on January 9th. So go out and check that out. But where can they follow you as well?
Man, they can follow me on all social media platforms, primarily Instagram, Mr. J Washington, MRJAY. You should know how to spell Washington. I shouldn't have to spell it out for you.
They should be able to figure that part out. Jay, thank you so much, man. I'm glad you could join us today.
Thank you.
All right, and for everybody who's watching too, this is Fox 12 Now. We're going to take a break. We're live streaming here out of the newsroom. Breaking news. This is also a place to go to, so we have that. We cover everything here on this show, so it's a wide range. Check it all out on our YouTube channel, KPTV.com, or the Fox 12 Oregon apps. I will talk to you soon. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.